tool of misdirection. And if you hold down the price, it creates a reality regardless of the fundamentals. And that's why when you talk about the fundamentals being distorted, oh, you're just saying that you're a conspiracy. That's not true, blah, blah, blah. But it's very easy to see if you go down the silver rabbit hole. Do your research and then make your comments. And you are in a position of authority to say that. And so am I. I've done my research. The people who push back and say that kind of stuff, they maybe have looked down the rabbit hole, but they haven't certainly jumped in and, plugged their nose and here we go. And I think that's the important thing. So the more you start to read this and read about it and research it, and the more sense it makes.
The price of silver is expected to increase in 2024, though a global economic slowdown might limit its gains, despite high industrial demand. This situation could elevate the gold-silver ratio, which measures the relative prices of these two traditionally monetary metals. In the 2024 outlook by J.P.Morgan, gold and silver are predicted to outperform platinum, palladium, and base metals like copper and nickel. The forecast attributes this to the U.S. Federal Reserve's interest rate cuts and falling U.S. real yields, which have seen bond prices recover after 3 years of decline. Metals Focus, a specialist consultancy, notes in its latest report for the Silver Institute that high interest rates are not beneficial for assets like silver that don't yield interest. However, the silver price in 2024 might also struggle due to reduced confidence in industrial commodities, primarily influenced by a slowing Chinese economy. According to analysis by SFA Oxford for German bullion refiners, Heraeus, lower interest rates and a weaker U.S. dollar should support silver prices. However, interest rate cuts often signal economic challenges, which could restrain silver's potential growth due to a weak industrial outlook. Heraeus's report also indicates that the gold-silver ratio is above its long-term average, suggesting that silver is currently undervalued. This ratio tends to rise during U.S. recessions, with gold typically outperforming silver. In 2023, the gold to silver ratio saw an increase starting at 75.7 ounces of silver for 1 troy ounce of gold and later rising to 84.0. While gold gained 13.4% in dollar terms, silver only rose by 2.2% since the previous New Year's Eve. Now we'll show you clips of Andy Schectman discussing his prediction for silver in 2024. Hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and watch the video to the end to get the most out of it. Enjoy it.
So why is there the largest concentrated short position, meaning by a handful of players, commercial banks, in silver, more than any other commodity on the exchange? Why? Right. And that's a question. Then you work backwards from there. And so I think it's easy to come up with these statements when you look at the reality, but people don't ever look at that reality. And just ask that question. Why is the Silver Institute omitting these things? And why is there the largest concentrated short position of any commodity traded in the whole futures exchange in lowly old silver, if it's not that important? And these are questions that allow your mind to expand and then try and seek the truth in a way that is not conspiratorial. There's a very fine line between conspiracy and reality. And I've learned that in this industry. And I was the guy up on stage at the Agora conference screaming that the markets are being manipulated by J.P.Morgan. And Doug Casey said, no, that's impossible. Right after me, that's impossible. He got up and said, J.P.Morgan traders can't keep their mouth shut long enough. Oh, lo and behold, J.P.Morgan has 3 traders in prison and paid a $920 million fine, the largest ever that the Justice Department passed out at that point. So the point is it conspiracy? Is it reality? Where is it? Where's the tinfoil hat? And I think that's one of the things that has enabled people to look past this because it's just conspiracy, it's bullshit. But it's not. And these are the things that why there'll be very little advanced warning to everyone out there. We've been screaming this forever, but the people on the street who've never listened, they won't notice it until it's blown off. And I think that's common. These are all things that are very important that you won't find in the mainstream.
Yeah.
And that's why I made a comment like you belong. There are very few silver commentators out here who do the research that you do and look at it and frame it in a way that makes you think. So, I think that's fantastic. And people owe you a debt of gratitude as far as I'm concerned. What you do is not easy. Putting yourself out there is not easy. But it's admirable. And, I think the stories that you find are spot on. And when you comment on them, that's exactly what you're doing. You're not giving financial advice. You're commenting on a story and on its authenticity. But I think things are just getting going for silver. And I know it's hard for people maybe to hear that because it's been such a drawn out process. But this is something you have to think in terms of big picture.
Yeah.
The way that these nations are accumulating silver against the West, using the suppression against them, has to be methodical. It has to be done plotting and drawn out and slowly rather than all at once. So this is one of these deals that will be like this and then bang, there'll be no more silver left to be delivered at these prices. And maybe that is a problem with the COMEX, or maybe that's just a realization that the coffers are empty. And then things change immediately. And then it goes the other direction and it will run to the upside as much as has been held down to the downside, because once it's set free from the shackles of the Western suppression and it's valued for its real utility, I think the upside potential is life-changing. Now, I don't sell gold and silver for these reasons. I don't sell them for profit potential. But I do think that silver is a trade of a generation. I do. It's definitely the trade of the decade. And, I buy it because it's money and it's wealth outside the system. But the fundamentals, both supply and demand, are incredible. And I think it's something that will only start to show its true value here maybe in 2024 as things start to become a little bit more real.
Andy highlights that in its most recent report, the Silver Institute has significantly increased its estimates for industrial demand for both this year and previous years. Metals Focus also anticipates a continued deficit in the silver market for the foreseeable future. Despite these projections, the silver price has not seen substantial gains yet, mainly due to broader economic worries, rising interest rates, and diminished investment interest, including notable ETF outflows. However, these negative factors are expected to diminish and potentially reverse over the next year. We maintain a bullish outlook on silver, believing it has the potential to appreciate and close the gap with gold. Our prediction is a rise in the silver price to $30 by the end of 2024, which would reduce the gold-silver ratio to 72. Please subscribe to the channel as everything helps with the algorithm. And let's continue with clips of Andy Schectman on silver.
Wow. But I don't know that if we talked about the fact that a couple days later, Putin made a surprise impromptu trip to the United Arab Emirates, flanked by 4 Russian MiG fighter jets. The day, right after this United Nations meeting ended with 200 countries coming to talk about climate control, the meeting presided over by the head of the United Arab Emirates state-owned oil company, who told the world the day before, 2 days before all these countries arrive, hey, we're not going to take dollars anymore for oil. Well, then the summit ends. Putin makes an impromptu trip to the UAE and then goes directly to Saudi Arabia, whereby they then say, we're going to actually increase our reduction in daily output from 1.1 to 2.2 million barrels of oil per day. So is it coincidence, or is this group gaining credibility, gaining legitimacy? I think that, to me, that's something to keep your eye on. This is really beginning to spin faster. And in years past, when a country would say something like that, think Muammar Gaddafi, think of Saddam Hussein. One said, I'm going to take euro for oil. The other said, I'm going to take gold for oil. And they were both toppled and killed. And their regimes changed. Well, it ain't so easy to do that when the United Arab Emirates just joined the BRICS alongside of Saudi Arabia, and in 11 days they become full members. You have strength in numbers. You have strength in backing two of the three largest nuclear arsenals in the world. And is there any coincidence that after they make this very daring statement, glaring and daring, that Putin decides to fly over with 4 MiGs, flanking him, because he hasn't left the country but once or twice in the last few years because of the bounty on his head. But it was enough to have him fly in person to the UAE. I think it's very, very important in what it says. And that's why I believe 2024 is going to be one crazy.
What do you think of Andy Schectman forecast for silver in 2024? Post in the comments section your silver price prediction for the next year, as it's very important to us to know your honest opinion on what the precious metals will do. Thanks for watching the video till the end. Hit the subscribe button to help the channel grow, and I see you on the next one.